This episode of Nerdist News is brought to you by Capital One. How the Rebels finale sets up the future of Star Wars. Now, last night, many fans watched as the Disney XD animated series Star Wars Rebels came to a close, collectively losing their minds about who lived, who died, and who rode a space whale off into the sunset. And now many folks are tracking the breadcrumbs left by the series and adding up how it has laid down the track for the future of Star Wars. Now, in case you can't tell, this episode has major spoilers for the finale of Star Wars Rebels, so if you haven't caught up, follow the exit sign that's right under the spoiler warning. So the three-part finale and the Rebels Recon after show confirmed a lot of the characters' fates at the end of Rebels, but one of the most intriguing things was what we saw and what we didn't see happen with Grand Admiral Thrawn. We last saw Thrawn's Star Destroyer overwhelmed with the aforementioned space whales shooting off into hyperspace towards an unknown destination with Ezra Bridger. And showrunner Dave Filoni has revealed that both Thrawn and Ezra survived the events of the finale. Now, for those of you who have lost access to the Jedi archives, Grand Admiral Thrawn was a fan-favorite character from the Legends canon of the expanded universe, where he was able to reignite the Empire into a threat after the death of the Emperor and the destruction of the Death Star 2. Following Disney's purchase of Lucasfilm, where they erased the old EU, fans worried that they would never see Thrawn again. But those fears were dashed when Lucasfilm added him as a baddie to Star Wars Rebels Season 3. Now, in the old EU, most of the cool stuff we saw Thrawn do was after Return of the Jedi, but the focus of Thrawn's exploits in the current canon all happened before the events of A New Hope. With Thrawn surviving the Rebels finale, could he be the big bad of the 30 years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens? Now, aside from a few novels and comics, we don't know a whole lot about what happens during that era, but luckily, we won't have to wait long to find out. Last month, Disney trademarked the name Star Wars Resistance, and though we don't know a ton about what the Resistance brand is, many people suspect it's a new animated television property. And with Star Wars Rebels focusing on the rebellion prior to the original trilogy, it is pretty safe to assume that Star Wars Resistance will focus on the Resistance, which cuts ties with the New Republic to fight the First Order. Now, it's pretty safe to say that Thrawn will return to the screen as a major villain, but we also expect this series to show the rise to power of everyone's favorite wrinkled weirdo, Snoke. In The Last Jedi's novelization, which was released this week, it's established that Snoke shepherded the First Order through its years in the galactic wilds, transforming a band of Imperial refugees into a weapon forged to reclaim the galaxy, and that rebuilding took place in secret Imperial labs and shipyards scattered throughout the Unknown Regions, which is a largely unexplored section of space in the galaxy far, far away. The novel Aftermath: Empire's End discusses the Unknown Regions as well, saying the Emperor was convinced that something waited for him out there, some origin of the Force, some dark presence formed of malevolent substance. And unless Disney has no idea how foreshadowing works, this most likely refers to Snoke. Now, this is all speculation, but looking at the evidence, we think it tracks. It looks like in Star Wars Resistance, we will see Thrawn bring together the remnants of the Empire, only to have his throne challenged by Snoke's First Order, resulting in a sort of Imperial civil war. Of course, Snoke will win this dark side fistfight, and he will become the villain that we know and love for 2 movies before he's cut in half by the galaxy's most emo Force user. What an ending. But what do you folks think? Did you like the finale of Star Wars Rebels? Do you think we will see Thrawn again in the Star Wars universe? And do you think Star Wars Resistance will explain where Snoke got his sweet gold robe? Let's discuss. It's Versace, right? Versace. And if you didn't already know, I'll be at South by Southwest from March 9th to the 11th with Team Nerdist and keeping you up to date with what's going down at the Capital One House at Antone's. They've got so much cool stuff planned, like new product previews and demos, and then exclusive performances each night by artists like Matt and Kim. If you'll be in Austin, please make sure and stop by and say hello. If not, follow my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages using hashtag Capital One House. I'll be going live for some key panels, exclusive product demos, and interviews, so you'll want to make sure and tune in. South by Southwest is a ton of fun, folks, and I can't wait to see you there.